Okay, so we've got a few questions you guys submitted that we didn't get answered during the adjustment. So, Kristen asked, Dr. Evans, how did you pursue this job and was it what you wanted to do when you started college?
Oh, that's a hard question. I wanted to be a vet from the time I was knee-high. I wanted to be a vet. I wanted to be an equine vet. I had my heart set on it, and I even applied to vet school. I was close to finishing my bachelor's, and so I was pre-vet, and I didn't get in the first time I applied to vet school, which they tell you most people don't get in the first time. And I was working 70, 80 hours a week for a vet as a tech, and I kind of got burned out. And I went to Colorado State to get my master's to try to improve my chances of getting into vet school. And in that time, I decided that I probably wanted to go out and just get a job. Well, I couldn't find a job that was going to fit me and that was going to provide a living for me to be able to have my horses and stuff. So I started looking at chiropractic because I had been helped myself by chiropractors. And ironically enough, I had never ever had my horses worked on by a chiropractor when I went to chiropractic school. I knew about it, but I just had never used them. So I decided, after the help I got from the chiropractor and many family members, that I should look at it, and I figured out, oh, well, you can adjust people and you can adjust animals, so that's pretty cool, and you don't have to be on call for emergencies. That's even better. So I looked at chiropractic school, and literally within a month, my boss at the vet clinic thought I was completely crazy. I was in chiropractic school in Dallas, and
For humans.
and to get into the animal program, you have to be a licensed chiropractor or licensed vet. So I went through 3 years of chiropractic school for humans before I could even begin the program for the animals, which was kind of frustrating for me because I mainly wanted to do the horses. And so, but once I got into the animal program, I just knew that that was what I should do, and it really has been my calling. It's been a great career. It takes a lot of training though, and I will say it's very hard on your body. So I'll be lucky to be doing it another 10 years. I've already had wrist surgery once, and it nearly ended my career, just even from adjusting people. It's very physical, very manual, and high risk to get injured in your joints. But yeah, no, I wasn't set out to be a chiropractor. I was set out to be a vet, and here I am. I'm still kind of working with the vets though, so that's kind of cool too.
So that leads into Juan's question. He said, do you have to be a professional to do this, or can anyone start from scratch, if that makes sense? So I assume he means like apprentice and
Right,
things like that.
right. I have that question a lot, and there are people out there doing it that are just lay people, like your farriers and some trainers and such. To be legal and to learn how to do it correctly, you really do need to be a doctor. You need to be either a chiropractor or a vet and go through the certification program. It's very rigorous. It's over a 6-month period. It's over 250 hours, certification test at the end of it. And I actually work under the referral of a vet in Texas. So even though I have a doctor of chiropractic license in Texas, I still have to work under the vet. And a lot of the people who are doing it that aren't doctors and just lay people, they don't use the vet, and they hurt a lot of horses. So this is not something you want to do from scratch. Now, in other states, the laws are different. Oklahoma is a lot different, but you still have to be trained and you still have to be a doctor. I don't have to work under the referral of a vet in Oklahoma, which is great, but only because I'm certified. I have a second license there for animals because I have done the training. So I do not recommend trying to do this from the start for multiple reasons, not just because the adjusting part's easy. You can learn that. Literally, I could teach somebody how to adjust a horse. The problem is knowing when to adjust, what to adjust, and why not to adjust. And that comes from your very high level training. And there's many horses I see that I don't treat. I send them back to the vet because it's not a chiropractic issue and I'm going to hurt them. And if you don't have that training to know when, then you are going to get in a situation where you're going to hurt an animal. And I don't want that. So that question is like, oh, I want to go be a chiropractor for people, but I don't, I'm just going to start from scratch. Well, you don't do that. I mean, yeah, you can walk on somebody's back in the living room, but you're not really being a doctor and treating them properly. So that's a long answer to the question.
Good. That's good. So what's the most challenging part about being a chiropractor?
I would say probably all of not the paperwork, but the continuing education and the licensing and your insurance, and it's all the business type stuff. The chiropractic itself, it's easy and it's
because
fun.
You're self-employed, right?
Yes,
so you're talking about the.
Yes, I'm self-employed. Now I will say, like I said before, it is very manual. Like this is the third day on my 1,200 mile trip, which I cover a lot of miles. I have a very unique practice. I don't have a stationary practice, so it probably would be a little easier on me if I did. However, I have such a wide client base that it's just not possible to have one location. So I travel a lot, and that's hard on my body just being in the car. But I would say it's following the regulations, because the regulations they're ever changing, and having to stay on top of all of that. To go just do my job, it's pretty easy. I feel like it's hard when you get out because you don't know what you're doing, just like any other doctor. But I don't know. You certainly have those days that are hard, and that you just feel like nothing can go right, and that you may get kicked first thing in the morning. You got 20 horses to look at that day, and you get knocked off the bale, or you have one that you think, oh man, they're going to do really good when I adjust them, and then the owner calls you the next day and they're way worse. That does happen. It doesn't happen often, but you don't want to make something worse. But it's just like going to the doctor and them giving you a medication for a problem you have and you getting worse. The doctor had every good intent of you getting better, but everybody responds differently to stuff. So those are probably my days as far as when something goes wrong, as far as an animal or a person gets worse and I didn't anticipate it. A lot of times I can tell people when they're going to get worse, or their animal's going to get worse, but I'm wrong sometimes, and that sucks, and I don't like it, and it's not anything I do intentional, but I walk them through the process, and we eventually get them better. And whether that's me getting them better, or me sending them to a vet, or me sending them to a rehab facility, or we do other treatments, I work collaboratively with them to get that situation resolved and to figure out what's going on. But those are tough days. I don't like those days.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky they don't happen often, and I also, I have really good friends that are chiropractors that do this too, mobile chiropractic. And so it's always good to have a sounding board to be able to talk to somebody and be like, have you ever had a case like this? I had this case and I had no idea this was going to happen. And, to be able to have colleagues to support you through it and have similar situations, because just when you think you've seen it all, that's when you see something crazy, or something crazy happens. I had one earlier this year, as a matter of fact. So, but yeah, that's probably the hardest part of the job, but the actual job itself is pretty easy and cool.
Yeah. So let's end this on a positive note. Do you have a particular case where you felt like you made a huge change for any type of animal or a human?
I have several, and to pick one would be hard, but I've had several horses that were three-legged lame. Literally, the people have done x-rays and vet treatments, and they just cannot figure out what's going on with these animals. And I've seen it literally before my eyes, adjust them, and they walk off sound. And I have lots of stories. And I have people that have come in wheelchairs, can't stand up, just horribly in bad shape, gone to the ER. Of course, they're not going to help you. And over a few treatments, have them back to 90%. And so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, especially if they've already been to several people and they're like, yeah, this will help, but it doesn't. And animals, the thing with animals is they don't lie. So a person can be like, oh yeah, my back feels a little better, when it's really not. An animal either hurts or they don't. And so you can see that when they walk off or in their performance. I've worked on racehorses too, that they're like, oh, their time got way quicker. It was like, well, that's cool. But no, to see the ones that are legitimately hurting and just walking off sound, that is pretty cool. Like, I can't tell you how many people, and how many times I've cried because people start crying because they're like, oh my God, you saved my animal. I was going to put it down. Dogs, I just had a dog, actually, a few days ago, 14-year-old mixed breed dog who can barely walk, had a stroke a couple months ago and just deteriorating horribly. And I adjusted just with a little activator, which is just a little adjusting tool. And I have before and after video and pictures of it. And its back was flatter. It was walking better. The lady was in tears because she said, I've owned this dog since he was a pup, and I haven't seen him walk this good.
Yeah,
That's
so
pretty rewarding.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Beth. I appreciate your time.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.